The past few years, I've been reading a fair amount of autobiography and biography. I say it's been a staple of my reading from 2023 to present. It's 2026, so 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, 4 kind of years. And one name kept coming up, keeps coming up, kept coming up, and it was kind of, you know, people who tended to be in context where they wanted to be the best or invoke the best or that kind of thing, and the person they would bring up was Bob Dylan. And I've even seen this in press surrounding the Nobel Prize in Literature, and I was like, you know, maybe I should do a video on this and kind of how timely his Nobel Prize is, and especially how it's treated socially in text form and book form in the press, that kind of thing, in a social media context, so kind of that timeliness. So I'm Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, and today's Thursday, 21 May 2026 AD. In here I provide my classification of Bob Dylan in the context of his Nobel Prize in Literature. Mentions of him by name and biographies / autobiographies I have read this 2020s decade, and the timeliness of his Nobel Prize in Literature in a social media context. It's kind of to kind of describe it, it's, you know, approached perhaps more in the press and verbally and vocally as he won a Nobel Prize in Literature for a song. And so there, you know, somebody might do a really short, you know, 5 minutes or less kind of like sports performance, and they're like, I gotta bring Bob Dylan up, like I'm gonna write this book about myself and I'm gonna win a Nobel Prize in Literature. I mean, he won for a song, I wrote a book, I'm better. You know, and that vibe very much comes across in a lot of them. And, you know, it's like, it's very timely in the sense of like, you know, now it's like everybody's trying to one-up them. Like, they're like, I'm the best, I've won a gold medal, I'm better than you, but I can, because I won a race and I wrote a book, you know, like that kind of like really just ignorance is bliss, because they have zero understanding of language and literature, right? But they just kind of like, you know, maybe that's how they won their gold medals, so for them it's like justified, right? They're not really a considerate personality type. They're kind of more like, of course they're the best, duh, the world revolves around them. And so I was like, it's a really great Nobel Prize in the context of social media, and kind of it being timely as in a precursor. Did social media come into existence because of Bob Dylan and his Nobel Prize in Literature? And they're like, maybe if we put character counts on stuff, we'll win a Nobel Prize for a tweet. We'll be that platform, you know. And with kind of like the personality and temperament of the world, that's so fitting, you know. They don't have to do any work. You can be lazy. The hardest work in one's life is, you know, plugging in an electric vehicle, but like make it do it itself, you know. That's like I've actually read that in a book as well, you know, kind of thing. So I'm just kind of like it's a joke, but they like legitimately think they're like being smart and stuff, and I'm like, for them, right, for my perspective they're not, for their perspective they are. And so it's been a great one in terms of like, I actually am unfamiliar with the music of Bob Dylan, but like he'll get invoked in these books, and I'd say if I were to have, let's say I had like over 2.0 billion subscribers here on YouTube publicly, I want him as my over 1.0 billion subscribers number 2, if possible, because in those books, yeah, they might be invoking him to kick him down or be like, I'm better than, but I would say I learned a lot about the guy, because each time he's brought up, I've been very impressed by this guy who I haven't ever, you know, listened to a song of, kind of thing. I haven't read any books by him. I haven't seen any movies about him, but he is like, well, clearly he's a notable guy on, like, he's brought up like all over the place, all industries. Okay, they try to pick on him and kind of tear him down, and I've been through that myself. But they'll bring him up, and it's like he's the rock solid feature of the context in which he's brought up. I'm like, he's a solid guy. Like, you know, like I read it in one book and I'm like, okay, and then I read it in the next book and like the next book and the next book, and I go, wow, this is like a very concrete individual, like, and he stands his ground. So I've been very impressed. And so Does this video become to Bob Dylan what Tom Holland was for me for social media? Is that overstepping bounds? So, what do I mean? So, I choose you, Bob Dylan. If I'm number one with over 2.0 billion subscribers, I choose you, Bob Dylan, is my number two with over 1.0 billion subscribers. I'm like, I might not get a say in that final number, but like, please be closer to me, you know? As in, like, over 1.0 billion subscribers. I'm not that I have to dominate and win by a lot. I'm like, closer. Yeah. And so Tom Holland, and what I mean here is he had I choose you moment via social media. And as I saw in an interview in a talk show last decade, 2010's decade when I was living in Albany, California, or approximately that. It was an interview, and he talked about how he got this role for a Spider-Man movie, and nobody told him about it. Nobody contacted him, and he like found out via social media. And it wasn't even like a message to him. He had to go somewhere else or something like that to find it. And so I'm like, so he comes to my channel, Bob Dylan, and finds like I choose you to be my number two. Or my number one, because I'm number one, so I can call him number one. If I like him, right? If I like the number two, I can call them number one because I'm number one. And I can be like self-canceling and be like, well, Bob Dylan number one. My Bob Dylan's number one because I'm number one, and I can say that if I like the person. Okay. And so it was like, and Tom Holland, it was like, that would be so scary, right? Like what happened to him, like to actually have to go surfing something else to find out like there's a job offer. Like he had to go to like, what was it, like the studio's Instagram account or something. I'm like, good luck even finding that one has a job. And I was like, I should treat social media seriously. And so I deleted a lot of my social media accounts, and I was like, if there's one platform I should put a bunch of time and effort into understanding, because I don't really necessarily understand the medium that well, it's video form and YouTube. And so it was the only platform that I kind of isolated out as this could be a full-time endeavor, and like it might actually be that difficult, and I'm living that reality now. And it for me it is a full-time commitment, and I enjoy it. But the kind of tone set to something that a term that I use on this channel, my tone set for treating it seriously and like sticking with that, it was Tom Holland. So there we go. That's my Bob Dylan classification, his Nobel Prize in Literature, and timeliness in a social media context.